So let's give Mike a prompt here. Mike, you said you've done improv before?
I have, yeah.
So you're a little bit comfortable with the concepts here, because I'm taking a lot of it just from improv sorts of approaches to things, but not nearly as much as you'd get in a good class or on stage. But you should be pretty comfortable with this, I think.
All right, well, we'll see. It's been a while since I've done this kind of thing. So should I like, I don't know, should I set up a dictation document or something so that I can actually like record as I go, or?
You can if you want. Otherwise, the video is being recorded and I can extract out your part if you'd like.
Oh, intriguing. Okay, yeah, I don't know how to do the tech side of like taking the audio and turning it into dictation. Like, I mean, like live recording, sure, but beyond that, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So
Now,
that's the thing to find out.
in my case, I'm using Dragon, and I'm using the higher end one, which will do that from audio files. The home version of Dragon will not. You have to dictate as you're speaking, or transcribe as you're speaking. Although I do know people who have had some luck with playing their recording into the computer microphone and transcribing that way.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would love to pick your brain about that at some point. I do have Dragon Anywhere and like the paid subscription version thing. So in theory, if that exists, that's a feature that should be available to me. I just don't know if it is.
And Dragon Anywhere is a different animal. It's actually more accurate at transcription because it's being done by some super powerful server somewhere in the bowels of Seattle or someplace. I have no idea where.
Okay.
But me living out in the boondocks where I'm at, having to have a reliable internet connection to do my transcription is a problem. So Dragon Anywhere sort of assumes things about how you're walking around or moving around and so on, that you're in a particular situation that I just...
Yeah.
All right, let's get you some prompts here.
Sure.
And again, use what you can out of them. Astronaut at the Sydney Opera House, their back is out and the wrist is also somehow involved. A pig in a football stadium trying to find water and a meal. And a librarian in a steam tunnel who is bored and pizza is involved. So when you're ready to start, I will start the clock.
Okay. Let's do the thing.
All right.
All right, are we in?
Yep.
Cool. First down in fourth quarter was always a cause for excitement, especially for a team that had been behind in so many games this season. However, what was even stranger this time around was that when the ball was set down on the line of scrimmage, it didn't want to stay there. It attempted to roll, first to the left, and then, when put back in place, thereafter to the right. The players retreated from it, not wanting to show that they were scared of a football per se, but also not wanting to be cursed by any kind of superstition that could carry on for more than one game. The refs also got in close, took a look at it, and at some point when the roar of the crowd was just quiet enough, one of them heard the most bizarre sound coming out of the football. Maybe it was a sort of squeak or scrape against the AstroTurf. Possibly there was some bit of the leather straps that had managed to get stuck on something and finally came undone with a little bit of a... However, one of them, who had a little bit more knowledge and authority of this kind of thing, said, "Well, that's a pig sound." Of course, once it was said out loud, nobody was willing to argue with it. The football, having heard some fashion of pig, decided there was more opportunity to keep trying to roll. Given that there was a football moving of its own volition of a field that everyone was pretty sure was mostly level, it seemed to make more sense to give it its space. The fans were suddenly up on their feet like they had never been throughout this season. And the football continued to roll in that delightful warbling football pattern, off the line of scrimmage and toward not the end zone but the sidelines. It seemed to be heading not for any particular player, but for the water boy. The poor water boy, who had been dressed in a jersey a few sizes too large for him, and the big number 1 for all of the urine jokes that would be passed on after the players had drunk said water and passed it on through, made a shriek much louder and higher than any pig ever could, and darted out of there. The football had picked up speed considerably. It was rolling in such a way that it would be able to knock one of the legs of the table, which sported that giant orange cylinder that could at some points be filled with Gatorade to be poured over a winning coach. Unfortunately, this coach had not won yet this season, and therefore no Gatorade was ever needed for this particular cylinder. So the football, with another resounding snort that shouldn't be made by leather that is inanimate, ran into the leg and collapsed the table entirely. The water jug fell onto the AstroTurf and immediately started spilling out. The football went to the water and tried to lap it up greedily, eagerly, before it all disappeared into the ground. And then, something that should not have been a shock to anyone, this same football that had proved some kind of autonomy began to grow. The bravest player, his name, of course, Jackson, decided that it was his duty to leap on this grenade and keep it contained so that the game could go on. Little did Jackson know that the football would prove much stronger than him. After all, Jackson could only play about half the game before he was too tired. This football had been in for the entire thing without sweating. Jackson found himself unceremoniously bucked up and then to one side and finally off of the football, who by now appeared to have grown 4 little stubs on its underside. Little was a relative term, considering that the football was now about 2.5 feet long, had burst some of its stuffing, and was making much more of a racket. This was not the kind of town where many people were likely to carry guns, but as always, there's one in any given crowd. And when people started screaming and running away, that brave hero stepped forward, withdrew his properly licensed concealed pistol, and aimed it at the growing hog.
And there's our 5 minutes.
All right.
And a perfect cliffhanger. Okay, I've got the prompts up so you couldn't see my face, but I was grinning and giggling through much of that.
I'm intrigued.
Excellent.
I want to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe you and me both. All right, well, I'll just have to... Yeah, I'll also see how many words that was. I did not end up doing any punctuation in that. I just kind of like kept telling it, but yeah.
Yeah, speaking the punctuation is a habit that takes a while to build, and once you've built it, it's harder to not do it.
Yeah.
I find if I talk to a machine, I talk with punctuation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do talk through punctuation when I'm recording science fiction. I don't know why, but I've gotten in the habit of that by now. If I'm doing improv stuff, if I'm doing speech, if I'm like trotting out an idea, or if I'm in fantasy, punctuation just doesn't happen for me in my head.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it's totally
getting
trainable.
better at interpolating it. It's still not great, but it's better.
Yeah.
So, other feedback. Finish it, trunk it, chunk it.
Well, I'm definitely finish it.
All right.
All right, how's this for a title? I oink, therefore I am.
I like it. I like it.
Okay, it's much better than I was playing around with. All that could go through my head was pigskin.